With the help of my students, we've come up with 10 mistakes beginner acrylic painters make. And we're going to share them with you so that you don't have to make these mistakes when you begin to paint. All right, here's the first mistake I have for you. Beginner acrylic painters do not make enough paint. Just make sure you make enough paint, as much as you possibly can. It's okay to throw away some paint. It's better to throw away some paint in the end than it is to like scrape at a palette and to keep trying to get something out of nothing. All right, here's number 2 for you. They don't use enough paint on the canvas. Number 3 is the mistakes I see on their palettes. So when mixing, the mistakes you'll see with beginner acrylic painters can be squirting paint on top of each other or spreading your paint too thin. All right, so here's the thing with mistakes 1 through 3. If you make one of them, you might make the other one. So to avoid making any of these mistakes, make sure you scoop up your different colors separately into one pile so you have more control. You mix with tight circles and you make enough paint so you have enough paint to put on your canvas. All right, so when we're talking about palette manners, I think about brush manners too. So when you're beginning to paint with acrylic paints, don't be surprised if you forget your brush manners and leave them in your paint to harden with paint on it. Ouch, do not do that. That's terrible for your brushes. Mistake number 5 is going to be my favorite because I am guilty of it all the time, and that is the mistake of being a perfectionist. So here's one I struggle with all the time. I admit it. I am a perfectionist, right? So when I'm painting, I'm always thinking like something can be better, something could be fixed. Right? I think that's like a common thing with being a perfectionist. Like there's never a point where it's good enough. And that is terrifying when you're painting, because at what point are you just gonna be like, I love it, it's perfect the way it is, right? So mistake number 6 is probably one you're gonna make because you're very excited and you wanna get to your details, but you can't do that. You gotta layer first. You're just making it more difficult in the long run. All right, so mistake number 7 kind of correlates with mistake number 6, and that is because if you're going straight for the details, you're not layering. So mistake number 7 is not layering. You must layer. You gotta chunk it out and get to those details later because it is just more efficient. So what my student is demonstrating here is what you're supposed to do rather than trying to get that sky blue in between all the branches and all the leaves. Mistake number 8 is something that happens in and out of the art world, and that is the mistake of comparing yourself to someone else. Right, so instead of comparing myself to other people, lately I've just been trying to find like what I like about other people's artwork so that I can feel inspired by it instead of being put down. So if you can try to tell yourself that instead of comparing yourself, compliment someone, tell them what you like about it, and be inspired. Borrow some of their color mixing, borrow some of their composition. It's okay to do that. My second to last mistake that beginner acrylic painters make is that they forget why they're painting, and I have a really easy solution for this. I want you to remind yourself constantly why you are doing this, and I really hope that it is because it is awesome and so much fun. Try your best to not get stressed out. You are painting to have a good time. So don't get nervous, don't get stressed. You are just in this to relax, learn, and have a good time. Last but not least, mistake number 10. They don't change their perspective. Alright, so I'm not just gonna leave you hanging here. Here are some ways you can change your perspective. Take a picture. I love taking pictures of artwork. It looks so much better when you take a picture, right? Or possibly you could take your canvas and flip it upside down. This literally gives you a different perspective because it's upside down, so you might see things you didn't before. And then my absolute favorite is to just step far away from it. Look at it from a distance with a friend, which is bringing me to my last and very, very most important advice for correcting this final mistake, and that is having an art community. Having an art community gives you so much support, and it is so much fun when you share these experiences with other people. You have a community with Embodied Art Studio. If you try any of our tips and tricks, please tag Embodied Arts. Also, if you would like to get 15 tricks for jumpstarting your creativity, for making more art, click the link in our bio to receive the ebook. My name is Shannon, and we are Embodied Art Studio. Make sure you ring the bell so you can keep following us and keep getting cool tips and tricks if you are just beginning to paint with acrylics.